Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. The 8 sexiest fragrances a man can wear. And before I go any further, let me be clear. This video is about fragrances that women find attractive on men. That's it. I am not concerned about what fragrances are popular. I'm not concerned about what fragrances you may find easy to wear. I'm not concerned about versatility, price, or even performance. This is about fragrances exclusively that women enjoy smelling on men, because quite frankly, what we like to wear and what they like on us, those are two different things. If you've been in the fragrance community for a long time, you're going to see a lot of the usual suspects. There are a couple of surprises on this list, though. You might be asking yourself, well, what the hell would I know, a bald middle-aged man, about what fragrances are attractive to women? I've been in the fragrance community for 5 years now. I know a ton about them. I've collected a ton of fragrances. But also, 2 years ago, I've mentioned this before on the channel, I work in healthcare, I work with the elderly. I worked at a company that was really slack. They allowed fragrances for over a year. I was surrounded by women. I got to test things out. They knew I was a fragrance guy. I talked with them all the time, what they liked, what they didn't. I noticed the compliments. I learned a lot, and I'm going to share that with you today. Fragrance number 1, this is Musk Ravageur by Frederic Malle, and I spent more on this fragrance than any other fragrance in my 350 plus collection, because this just does one thing, just one thing. It is meant to be a sexy fragrance. It's meant to appeal to women. It's a date style fragrance. That's all it does. The clue is in the name, Ravageur, to ravish someone, right? When it comes to dating and stuff, yeah, there's two elements of being a man. You want to appeal to women, right? You want to be a nice guy. You want to be, clean cut and whatnot, and have a good job and everything. And there's an element of that in this. The nice vanilla and cinnamon, the part of the fragrance that attracts women to you in the first place, makes them feel safe. But this has a secret weapon. It's the musky element, and it's a dirty musk element, right? So you get the musk, you mix it with pungent cloves, and then you got an animalic quality. So you got the really nice guy element, and then look, let's face it, we're human beings. We have animal wants and desires. It's there with the musk element. This fragrance does one thing. It's certainly not versatile. It's super sweet. It's not something you want to wear. Certainly not in any kind of warm weather. I wouldn't wear it at work either, unless you want to look like, I don't know, Mr. Suave at work. I don't wear it much, but when I want attention from women, I'm only going one place. Fragrance number 2, Parfum de Marly, Layton. And I can see a lot of people that are regulars on my channel smiling, because Layton is probably the most popular fragrance for men. At least among the collectors that vote on my polls, and I've done, I don't know, close to 100 polls already. This cleans up. I've stopped posting it. It is that popular, but it is one of the few fragrances that are popular in the community that also work really well with women. I'm not entirely sure why, but I suspect part of it has to do with the fact that Layton is unisex, and it has florals. The core of Layton is 3 florals: geranium, jasmine, and violet in the heart of the fragrance. So it is going to be something that women are familiar with. They're going to enjoy wearing it themselves. The neat thing about Layton, though, is the masculine element, which is the cardamom mixed with the vanilla. That appeals to women. So they're going to be feeling comfortable with recognizing the florals. Maybe they'll like it on themselves, but it's going to smell great on men as well. It's got excellent performance. This one is a secret weapon that I think people in the community intuitively know works. Fragrance number 3, Dolce & Gabbana The One. This is the Eau de Toilette, but in this case, I'm talking about both the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum. I can get this fragrance to perform better. I'll get to that in a second. But this DNA, which used to be iconic 3 years ago, I got sick of hearing about Dolce & Gabbana The One, Eau de Parfum, and yet now I don't hear about it at all. Don't forget about it when this topic comes up. I saw a Curly Fragrance video. She went out on the street and was asking women what they like, and it was so overwhelmingly in favor of Dolce & Gabbana The One, Eau de Parfum. She got frustrated. At one point, she goes to one of the women, she goes, "What is it you like about this fragrance?" And they're like, "Well, it's the freshest one. And I was like, what? It's a sweet tobacco. How can it be fresh? But if you look at the notes, here, this has ginger and grapefruit to go with the cardamom, the amber, and the tobacco. So this is not just a cloying, heavy, sweet tobacco. It's got a fresh quality, and it came from this. This is Vera Wang for men, and this was marketed as a wedding fragrance, right? So women are not going to have men buy fragrances for men on their wedding day unless they like it too, right? So that was a big key right there, that this fragrance really works. With this fragrance, the EDT, to get performance, I normally spray 5 times. What I do with this one, I will spray 7 times, a couple more sprays, and I will spray all around my neck, on the collar, on clothes. Don't forget about the one. Fragrance number 4, this is Prada Luna Rosa Carbon. And if you came to me and said, look, I have a fragrance DNA that's Dior, and I have a fragrance DNA that's Prada, which one are you more likely to pick? I love the house of Prada, I really do, but Dior is my favorite house. I would pick the Dior 10 out of 10. But when it came to that Dior Sauvage heavy pepper and ambroxan combination, I'm going with this one because it's easier to wear. It's not as strong as Sauvage, and it probably won't work as well with women, at least younger women, than Sauvage will. But this is so much smoother. It is more sophisticated. It's easier to wear. You've got the black pepper, you've got the ambroxan, you've got the citrus, but you've also got metallic notes and the Prada patented lavender that is all over the Luna Rosa line. It's very smooth. The performance is very, very solid, and it just works like a charm. Here's the thing about that DNA. Dior did a hell of a lot of market research on fragrances that women found attractive. And the funny thing that they found with this DNA is women found it masculine. And I'm thinking, well, what about Gucci Guilty Absolute? It's masculine. But I think the key is a Gucci Guilty Absolute, they find masculine, but they don't really like the smell. When it comes to fragrances like this, it's masculine and they like the scent as well. Thank you, Dior, for that. Really appreciate it. Fragrance number 5, YSL La Nuit de l'Homme Blue Electrique. This is the fragrance that took over from La Nuit de l'Homme after it got watered down, but that fragrance that came out in 2009, that introduced what is taking over seductive men's fragrances, and that is the note of cardamom. You want to know how many fragrances that you would know that had any amounts of cardamom in them prior to the original La Nuit? Well, there was Lancôme Hypnose, and then there was this. But the cardamom in this and in Hypnose, it was mixed with other things. But YSL went all in on cardamom. You know, you can pick up some lavender in the fragrance, but it's basically a cardamom bomb. Do you want to know how many fragrances are in cardamom? Men's fragrances have cardamom after La Nuit de l'Homme? Well, there are too many to list. I was going to read them out. I'm just going to put them on the screen because it's unbelievable. Cardamom is very seductive to women. And I don't care how many fragrances are using cardamom now. This one is still the bomb. It's still the most cardamom. This is a much stronger fragrance. They added ginger to the cardamom, makes it strong, pushes out, a lot of performance, a lot of projection. This one is iconic. Fragrance number 6, Parfum de Marly's Herod. Now, there's not a whole lot left in this because this is a fragrance that I wore to work. I haven't read a lot about this particular fragrance being seductive to women, but I field tested this a few times. And let me tell you, it's the one fragrance when I put on, I would always have someone comment. Always. I think I wore it like 4 times. It wasn't always like a hardcore compliment, but people always noticed. And they don't usually say anything. They're Canadian after all. They're very polite. They won't say anything unless they enjoy the scent. And yeah, Herod just worked. And it is the fragrance that I got the biggest compliment from a distance. I swear to God, one time, now they did know me as a fragrance guy. One woman had to be 6 feet away from me before she'd even got close to me that day at work. And she's like, oh my God, I love what you're smelling. Like Herod, it's a sweet tobacco, but it is very strong projecting. The vanilla is really nice. Well, the vanilla cinnamon blend and the tobacco, it just works. Herod works. In my experience, Herod works. Fragrance number 7, this is Dior Sauvage, and this has to be on the list. This is the freshest of all of the sort of Sauvage DNA fragrances. It is doubled up in pepper. You got Szechuan pepper and black pepper to go with the ambroxan. It is the biggest projector by far. It lasts a long time, and it works. It's not necessarily the easiest to wear. The one flaw in this fragrance, and I think for most people it doesn't apply, but if you're one of those people that happen to live in a wealthy area or a sophisticated area where a lot of people wear fragrances, this DNA might seem a little bit, oh, please, I don't want to hear it anymore. It is kind of tired at this point, especially if you're around a lot of people that wear fragrances, but I find most people, in North America, most people where I live don't wear a lot of fragrances, so just having this on will be appealing. And now this one, yeah, it's an icon. And Versace Dylan Blue is the darker, more affordable version of the Sauvage DNA. The funny thing about this particular fragrance, it is moving up in price. It is close to the $60, like $55, $60 at the North American discounters. But it's still cheaper than a lot of fragrances on this list, but it's high quality. It projects. But I always hear people talking about it being a great fragrance for young people. That's really the price that they're talking about more than anything. Young people tend to have less money, right? So it's accessible to them that way. But when you think about what this does, this bottle here is dark blue for a reason, and that is the darker element of the Sauvage DNA because they've added a lot of incense. And I don't think of incense as a youthful note particularly. I do think older people can wear this 100%. Anyway, this particular fragrance works better for me in terms of compliments than any other fragrance that I've worn. It could be this, it could be Sauvage, it could be Prada Luna Rosa Carbon. That DNA works really well. Anyway, these fragrances are all really good. They all appeal to women, and they have varying degrees of performance, but the one thing that they do, women love them on men. Thanks for watching.